is your claim to be the best wrestler in the WWF?
I could make you squeal in seconds, pal.
I want a match with Triple H at WrestleMania, one-on-one.
The fact is, Rock, you got the WWF title, and I want it.
You think you're special.
Oh, look at that! Oh, my God! And for the 21 ladder!
I can see it with
However, the contract reads Shane McMahon.
Will make Chris Jericho feel like he's been hacked up with a bloody hatchet.
I've earned his respect. Professionally, he's earned mine. When we get in that ring together, he brings out the best in The Rock. The Rock brings out the best in Stone Cold, no question.
And here's to your getting whooped at WrestleMania.
This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
2001, the true beginning of the millennium. A year of major strides, major distractions, major downturns, and major calamities. But without question, a year of major peaks. The last true vestiges of the 1990s were seen in this year. And when it comes to WWE, it was the peak of their popularity and beginning of their downfall. The year 2000 was the company's most successful financial year. Still is probably to this day. And it was overall their best year when it comes to pay-per-view output, with the first 3 pay-per-views of 2001 also following suit, capping it off spectacularly with the grandest of them all, WrestleMania X7. For context, which if you don't know by now, then where the hell you been? I wouldn't be born for a couple of months after this, and I know, but WWE was coming off the end of the Attitude Era. WCW had just closed its doors officially about a week ago, and ECW was on hiatus, but they were effectively already dead because their boss was on WWE TV after he just replaced Jerry the King Lawler a couple of weeks back. And WWE, for the rest of this video I'm calling WWF, had full control, but had the most anticipated show of the era coming up. But really and truly, why is this show so venerated? Why is it seen as the greatest of all time? Well, let me start by looking at the presentation. This show not only captures the era perfectly, but it also ties in that new metal aesthetic of the era and makes it grandiose.
Yo, you dealing with the X Factor.
I got everything I ever wanted, and I'll never give that back.
Cut that bitch off! Next caller!
Now, we can't talk about X7 without talking about Sunday Night Heat. But the only thing you really gotta know about Sunday Night Heat is that X-Pac had a stable consisting of Lars Tensai and Stone Cold Zero over 8. They fought Steve Blackman and Too Cool. Now, just think about that. X-Pac had a stable. Yes, an actual stable. I just mentioned that because that's so funny. And also, look at this. Look at Just Incredible, bro. The man in love with X-Pac.
Fucker! Son of a bitch!
And William Regal, WWF Commissioner. This feud came about because Regal, as most authority figures at the time, was being a corporate stooge. And, well, you already know how botheration Chris Jericho was. As usual, Regal would abuse his power to antagonize Chris, leading to Chris R. Kelly in oh my, he besmirched his cup of tea, as they say. With all this heated backstory, however, this match was just surprisingly a technically sound match. Nothing too big. Regal would employ tactics such as removing the turnbuckle pads to target Chris Jericho's shoulders for the Regal stretch. The funny thing is, that same turnbuckle ended up backfiring on him because Chris Jericho would hit this line salt right afterwards to retain the IC Championship. A serviceable match, decent opener.
It is obscene. It is obscene. It is obscene.
So next up, we got the first piss break match of the night. A fun way to get everybody a payday. How the hell these sets of people come together? Well, initially it was supposed to be Jerry Lawler versus the Right to Censor. At the start of the year, he was in a feud with them because he was trying to stand up for the rights of his wife. Yes, his wife. For her rights to strip on TV. Just listen to that sentence. However, in real life, he was actually fighting a battle for her creative. And when she walked out, or actually when she got fired, he walked out behind her. So, to supplement that, the APA and Taz were drafted in, and this is how we ended up with this match. It was a fun match. Yeah, JBL won with the clothesline from hell, and that was it. I mean, it's just the best WrestleMania of all time. It's not a perfect show, bro. You gotta get some sort of piss break match.
You are hardcore. You make me.
Now this right there is a classic. Big Show versus Raven versus Kane. Big Show and Kane had been at odds with each other for a minute, stemming back to when Kane would save Taker from an attack by Triple H before his match with Show. The two then would interfere on behalf of Hunter and Mark respectively for the next few weeks leading up to this match. Raven at this time was on his way to being the hardcore champion with a whopping 27 reigns and was the man to beat in this division. Kane and Raven would start the match way before Big Show even made his entrance. Like, bro, where the hell you been? I kid you not. He could have lost this match before he even made his way to the ring. And he got chipping. Like, put some pep in your step, bro, please. I can't do this match any justice. It's just chaos. Imagine a real life version of you and your friends then playing a backstage brawl match. Raven go through a window, Kane and Show through a wall, Raven swerving a character and almost knocking out the pay-per-view feed while running from Paul. Kane winning after turning into Jeff Hardy off the stage. Classic car crash.
You back up off me. Man, you don't sit your lanky ass down. Bottom line, I will knock you the fuck out.
Alright, this one should be interesting. Next up, we got a rare Big Man Babyface, Little Man heel match for the European Championship. Test defending against Latino Heat. Eddie is fairly dependable to have a good match with anybody, and Test was a great Big Man wrestler. Really paved the way for the Drew McIntyres of the world. They got a real funny spot where Test attempts a miss big boot over the top rope, only for his foot to get stuck in the two ropes, leading to the ref and Eddie having to free him, and Eddie attacking him just to sell that it's still in the match. It was hilarious. Belt shot. 1, 2, new European champion. Radicals up. Will their night continue this way? Oh, and speaking of, next match we got. So, for some reason I was told that this is one of the best matches of that night, but WWE didn't include it in their greatest matches of all time countdown for WrestleMania. Oh, right.
We do not speak his name.
Right, so a literal week or a couple of days before WrestleMania, Kurt Angle cut a promo in the crowd and WWE because he was legitimately champion a month before and he had no opponent for WrestleMania. Yeah, a lot of the new wrestlers nowadays can relate to the Kurt. Well, Chris Benoit is here to remind him that he might have been the champ, but he certainly isn't the best at technical wrestling. Kurt was heading into the match with one promise. Not only will he beat Chris Benoit, but he will never tap, never submit, never give up. John Cena style. This is another match that in my commentary, I can't do it justice. So after a technically sound set of chain maneuvers, Angle gets frustrated and starts beating the CTE into Chris Benoit. Each man would try any way to get the other to tap. Angle locking in the crippler crossface and Benoit locking in the ankle lock. Chris would finally make Kurt tap, but of course, wrestling logic, the referee obviously.
You do that, you done fuck.
So next up we got Chyna making her last appearance at the showcase, taking on Ivory for the women's title. Well, just looking at these two women side by side, and remembering that Chyna was a two-time Intercontinental Champion, not the female version, the male version. You should know who would win. The most interesting part about this match is the fact that Chyna was the most over woman in the company, and it's really interesting how things turned out for her at the end of the year. R.I.P. Chyna. Now, whether we want to admit it or not, Vince McMahon is the reason why the majority of us nowadays love wrestling. Like it or not, Vince is also a menace to society. So imagine what the character of this man on TV is if it's just him exaggerated. Shane had returned to the WWF to confront his father, sister, and pseudo-stepmother Trish Stratus about their treatment of his mother Linda. Vince sent Linda into a catatonic state by telling her he wanted a divorce for her part in Mick Foley endangering his wrestlers in the Armageddon Hell in a Cell. Now, may I remind you, this same man watched the same Mick Foley fall 20 feet to his near death twice. A man got run over and the suspects never got reprimanded. A bunch of hardcore matches in the snow and a man that got hung in front of a crowd of people, but he draws the line when Rikishi falls in some hate.
Nigga, you's a bitch!
Vince constantly antagonizes Linda by feeding her sedatives, dating Trish Stratus in front of her, and even turns Stephanie against her. He also shows how low he is when he turns Trish into a literal lapdog on live TV. The world was different in 2001, right? It is all you need to know. I said that all to say that when Shane bought WCW just days before Mania, it was the icing on top of a surefire car wreck. A classic. Shane and Vince beat the shit out of each other. Remember, the two of them is not trained wrestlers, so it was gonna be ugly. With Mick Foley as ref, Stephanie as manager, and Linda being wailed by Trish Stratus to ringside. But this was a night of comeuppance, as Trish would get her revenge by slapping the shit out of Vince, and then the Secretary of Education having the greatest pop for non-wrestling history. Really, slowly standing up from her seated position, revealing that Trish stopped drugging her and kicked Vince square in his nuts before Mick Foley would chime in. Shane would hit the coast to coast, pin his old man. One thing about Vince McMahon you got to admit, bro, he was never afraid to shed blood for his company.
Benson! Oh.
Alright, I need y'all to listen, right? This next match here is up there with Shawn and Razor and Money in the Bank from Mania 23 as the greatest ladder matches ever in WWE. I can't do it justice, so watch a montage.
Look out! Oh my! Oh man! Wait a minute! A 3D, the Dudleys! What are you thinking? That must be a 20-foot ladder! Swanton! Hey, Dudley! Oh, look at Edge! Oh my God! Edge with a 20-foot ladder on top of that big ladder! It's Rhino!
Dudley's, ENC, Hardy's, Lita, Spike, Rhino. The 9 of y'all, legends for this match alone. Now please, rest. Retire now, dog. I don't want y'all hurting yourself no more. Be like Devon. Retire. And now for the real piss break match, the Gimmick Battle Royale. Notice I ain't used no graphic for this one. All you need to know is that Shaky Baby won, cause he definitely wasn't going over the top rope with them badass hips he had. This was a real funny thing, and you know, it shows that this show really had something for everybody. But on to the next important match. WWE fans nowadays is complaining about last minute booking of matches, but imagine this match, the semi-main event, arguably the best or third best match overall, was legit booked less than 2 weeks before the show, and it still had enough drama going into it. Triple H makes his way into the ring as Lemmy legit does a bunch of hooting and hollering behind him, but still sounds badass. The Texas Boy Taker zooms down the aisle with Limp Bizkit blazing from the jump. These two were at it. Triple H goes through a table, brawling outside, and Mike Chioda going into a coma for, I kid you not, damn near 20 minutes after Undertaker trapped an elbow on his back. This man was laying motionless in the ring for the majority of this match, off an elbow drop. Taker and Trips would use this opportunity to fight in the crowd, using all the weapons. Triple H would brandish a chair, but would pay for it by getting chokeslammed into the abyss, or at least does what it looked like, until the cameraman then completely ruined the shot by showing a crash pad underneath. Undertaker would tombstone Triple H, but remember, this is still one of the 20 minutes of Mike Chioda's nap. He then go on for a last ride, but Hunter would strike him dead in the head with a sledgehammer, a move that let him be legitimately busted open, by the way, because his sledgehammer somehow fell apart. Knows Burroughs would attempt the 10 punches in the corner, but you know better not to stand above Taker in the corner. Last ride, pin, Undertaker win, 9-0.
Stone Cold, The Rock, WrestleMania.
Alright, time for the main event, the match that everybody comes to see. This is the match that was brewing since the night after WrestleMania 14. Stone Cold as champion, Rock is the new leader of the nation and as IC champion, to the main event of the following Mania, to Austin getting run over in late 99 and Rock taking over his top space as the face in 2000. These two are 1A and 1B of the Attitude Era. Stone Cold returns, wins the Rumble, wants to be that guy again, fans love him. Mania in his home state, Rock regains the world title at No Way Out, wants to remind Stone Cold and everybody else Who was the man carrying the mantle when he was out? Who was the fastest rising star ever? Austin's wife getting thrown in the mix? A legendary promo package and a last minute no DQ stipulation. Listen, I can't do this match justice, but just note it was 100 from go. Crowd fighting, trading finishers, table spots, blood, weapons. Each man refuses to surrender and getting even more desperate. And then Vince McMahon shocks the crowd by coming down the aisle and tossing a chair in. Both men subtly make glances but neither budge. And then Vince does something unexpected. He pulls Rock off Austin. Why? Enraged, Rock chases him and goes straight into the Stone Cold Steve Austin. Out of nowhere, Stone Cold, the man who hates and loathes Vince McMahon, being assisted and being helped by him as he beats the shit out of the Rock, stuns him. But no, Rock ain't give up yet. So my boy Steve Austin proceeds to beat this man senseless with a chair about 13 times until he gives up. Well, Austin shakes hands with the damn devil himself, and Vince finally gets one up over his biggest rival by not defeating him or demoralizing him, but actually capitalizing on his desperation and making him a carpet stooge. Yeah, a lot of people don't like this turn, but it's whatever. If you ask me, it's like choosing to fight Darth Vader in Revenge of the Sith. You eventually start working for the Emperor. And also, it is like a season finale to the wrestling of the 1990s, where Vince McMahon goes up, personally breaks the fourth wall, and shakes hands and thanks Stone Cold Steve Austin for all he's done. Because at the end of the day, this was the end of the Attitude Era as we knew it. Rewatching this Mania was a real treat to me, honestly, because the nowadays product is not hitting as much, bro. And this current WrestleMania bill is also kind of shit to me. So I had to get something like a palate cleanser. And lo and behold, this was the 25th anniversary of the event. So it was much fitting. I gotta say, I see why people call this the greatest of all time, bro. I understand why. Now, in my scoring, everything came up to about 34.55 out of 55 minute matches. But in terms of historical importance, I rated 23. And in my enjoyment, I gave like 19. Let me put it all together. At least in terms of what universities use to grade you, WrestleMania 17 gets an A. And rightfully so. I'm out.
Is there anything? That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!